Happening tonight, people in Boyle Heights are hoping to get an update on the cleanup operations out there after that massive warehouse fire.
At 5 o'clock, Lineage, the company that owns the warehouse, is meeting with several community organizations. NBC4's Karma Dickerson joins us live now with more on the massive efforts to clean out the warehouse and get rid of all that stench. Karma.
Yes, speaking of the stench, we're actually joining you from LA City Hall because really the smell near the Boyle Heights area was intolerable in some cases. So you can imagine what people who've been dealing with this 24/7 are going through. Meanwhile, the status of that cleanup is unclear because Lineage said they've hit a serious obstacle. The clock is ticking on moving tens of millions of pounds of spoiled food from the Lineage warehouse in Boyle Heights as the stench continues to blanket neighborhoods.
It does bother me and it's uncomfortable to work.
But today, not much cleanup work could be seen.
I think it's going too slowly.
Over the weekend, a back and forth between Lineage and LA's leaders. Friday, Lineage published a letter addressed to Bass and LA County Supervisor Hilda Solis saying there was a serious obstacle with the cleanup. Altus Power, the owner of the rooftop solar array whose equipment is suspected of starting the fire and who has publicly committed to making the Boyle Heights residents its first concern, sent correspondence demanding that we stop demolition of the site, wrote Lineage. The letter urged Bass and Solis to hold Altus and any other party seeking to delay cleanup and fire prevention at the site to the same standard of accountability you have applied to Lineage. Direct them to stand down and allow remediation to proceed. Bass's response to Lineage, signed on to by Solis and Councilmember Isabel Jurado, did not address the Altus claims, instead focusing on Lineage's role, saying in part, "Your representatives have not committed to the most basic steps of sharing comprehensive, real-time data about the volume of rotting food and debris being removed from the site." The letter called on Lineage to move affected residents to temporary housing and clean up the smoke and toxins from their properties. Meanwhile, despite the tarps hung from the Lineage building trying to minimize the noise and smell, surrounding communities continue to suffer. Scarlett Escobar says even at her home, 11 blocks away from the facility, the smoke and smell are causing problems.
Still to this day, we still have the air purifiers going.
Escobar, who tells us her father has lung problems, says that kind of help could make a difference for her family.
I really think that we would be really interested in that.
And so we did get a statement from Altus saying, in part, the cause of this fire and resulting damage, including Lineage's role, has not yet been determined. And in the last 24 hours, multiple parties joined in asking Lineage to appropriately preserve and not destroy relevant evidence during its site remediations. It is unfortunate that Lineage appears to be focused on pointing fingers rather than getting this community the swift cleanup and answers it deserves. So we imagine that during that community meeting, there will be a lot of discussion about focusing on the cleanup and the timeline and getting some of those answers as opposed to necessarily who is responsible. We did, however, hear from Councilmember Jurado's office that as of 3 p.m., Lineage did have the go-ahead to move forward with demolition. Reporting live from City Hall, I'm Karma Dickerson, NBC4 News.